Well, what happens when someone dies without a will? Well, we got a listener question today with someone that's concerned about just that. They're worried about their parents not having a will in place. What's going to happen when they pass? We'll answer that with Nick. Welcome into Complete Estate Planning. Ben George with Nick Rosenbauer of the Rosenbauer Law Office there in the greater Cincinnati area. We got a question we're going to answer today, Nick, that came in, and it's a good one. I wanted to start by reading it off to you, and then we'll kind of break it down from there. So here it is. My parents refuse to get their will done despite my protest and keep stating that you all will figure it out after we're gone.
Oh, no.
But what actually happens when someone dies without a will? Does the state take everything? Who makes the decisions? How bad will the mess be for me to clean up? So, Nick, I don't know how much you run across these situations where you have a child that's worried about their parents getting their wills done, but man, it's not too comforting to hear. You'll figure it all out.
No, you're exactly right. And I will tell you this: we hear about this more than you may realize. It ends up being like a light bulb that goes off while a family is, getting their own affairs in order. And then, they get towards the end and they realize how much better they made this for their family and how much, how they've enabled the right people to take care of things. And then it naturally, just a lot of times if their parents are still alive will make them think, I wonder what my parents have set up. And they may ask their parents. I've had people, they'll go through this with me. And then by the end, they said, I asked my dad over the weekend, if they have their affairs in order, because obviously it's top of mind for me right now. And you're making me think about all these things. And now selfishly, I'm thinking, I wonder how well my parents have set it up for me because I may be the handler in the family. And I'll be honest, there are some people, and I don't know a way to sugarcoat this, Ben. It's just straight up apathy. They just don't care. It is I'll be dead. It's not my problem. And, I think I get the vibe that that's exactly right. What's going on here in this question. So I tell people that the best thing to do is if it's not too late, obviously try to encourage the person to get their affairs in order. Whatever it is, it's better for, when someone passes away to at least say, here are the rules or here are my wishes. Here's who I want to be in charge. At least give me a playbook to go off of as opposed to having nothing. Now, that being said, obviously there is a process for how we get things settled if someone passes away without a will, because Ben, over 50% of people die with nothing. As far as an estate plan.
That's pretty high.
It is nuts, but there obviously has to be a process in place for something that happens over 50% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a situation of the state will take everything, thankfully, but the state will decide everything, which isn't quite as bad, but it's pretty close. So what ends up happening if someone dies with nothing, no plan, that's known as dying intestate. And at that point, someone needs to apply for the job, kind of raise their hand, say, basically apply for the job of serving to settle the estate, as the executor. Or in Ohio, when there's no will, the person who volunteers is called the administrator. And then, the judge will approve someone. Hopefully there's only one person who wants the job and there's no fighting. But if there's like 3 people who apply for the job, you can run into some issues. Then the judge has to pick their favorite. And, that can certainly cause bad blood when all 4 siblings are raising their hands saying, I'm the best. So you can probably don't need to imagine, put your imagination too far to realize how that's going to play out. And then as far as the inheritance plan go, thankfully, it's not something where the state takes everything, but what is known as intestate succession. So each state has a default formula for who, kind of first priority, second priority, third priority to receive the inheritance after someone passes away. And again, it's not the state taking everything, but it's the state deciding everything. And I always tell people, no matter what, I would recommend you pick who you want to be in charge. You pick who would be, guardian for your kids if you have young kids, and you pick who gets all of your money. I think you can make a better call than the state government, the government of the state in which you live. So I set the bar fairly low on that. But I'm a control freak. I don't want it to be up to chance who handles my money, who gets my money, and who takes my kids. Even if I don't have perfect people to rely on, I would trust my judgment over, the judgment, the judge, over the judge's judgment,
Right.
for lack of a better thing. So, and then again, states are different on this. So, all of the big disclaimers and fine print that is necessary. But typically, first level, if you are married, will be a combination of spouse, if your spouse is alive, or spouse and children, if not all of the children are joint. First for inheritance and then going on down the line. And if you have no spouse, no children or grandchildren, great grandchildren, goes all the way down. And then, it'll go up to parents, your siblings, nieces, nephews, etc. And so there's a whole long priority list. And I think the best way to imagine it is think about your branch of the family tree. Stays on your branch, goes all the way down. If you're not married and don't have any descendants, then it'll go up to your parents' branch, and then their kids, siblings, nieces, nephews, and down. So there is a batting order that goes all the way out to cousins, second cousins. You hear the random story about long lost, third cousin's uncle who, you get a call from the lawyer that everyone's getting a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. That's rare, but that's usually a situation where, someone had no family of their own. And then it's kind of going outwards to extended family. But yeah, so that's kind of the answer there. The state won't get everything, but the state will decide who's in charge. The state will decide who gets everything. And then as far as who makes decisions and how bad the mess will be, well, the state makes all of the decisions, including deciding who will be the executor, who gets to make decisions. And then how bad of a mess will it be? Well, we've obviously talked plenty of times about how much fun probate is not to clean things up. But this will be a little bit worse because you are not a you're not a will appointed executor. One, there's a risk that you don't even get the job. And two, there's limitations on some of your powers, what you're able to do. You'll probably need special court approval on certain actions where you otherwise would not. And you may also need a bond as well. So, Ben, when people think bonds, they think like bail bonds, like you have to pony up money to make sure you don't skip town for your court hearing.
Yeah.
They have those for executors as well. Okay. And, most of the time with a will, it is waived. Like for all of our wills, we do that. And they say, well, if I don't trust the executor, pick a different executor. But a lot of times when someone dies without a will, the person who volunteers to serve and do the job will a lot of times have to post a bond, to make sure that as soon as they get access to things, they don't, run off, to Latin America or the Cayman Islands, never to be seen from again. So it's just wasted hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on all of that. So yeah, you're still going through probate. But it's going to be even more of an uphill battle than it otherwise would be.
Is there anything an estate planning attorney can do for you at this point, for this person in this situation? Can you provide any service to them, or is kind of everything done at that point? Maybe you can provide some guidance, but not much more.
Yeah, great question. So if the parents are still alive, reiterate to them, get it done, please. Or at least reiterate to your parents that, the parents, their only opportunity to state their wishes and make sure things go the way they want is to write it down. Because otherwise, who knows what's going to happen. And then I will say this, sometimes it's just not happening. There's nothing you can do to convince them. I will say when someone passes away, we can help the family settle it. So we can certainly help the family do the probate, even if there was no will. Actually, Ben, I'd say probably 40% of our probate cases that we have right now are people who died without a will.
Okay. Wow.
It is much higher than you would realize. Now, we have a little bit of a higher mountain to climb, but we can certainly help. We do that type of work all the time.
Okay. Well, great question. And obviously not an uncommon scenario, as you pointed out. There's a lot of people in this position. So you can encourage your parents or your family member, whoever that is, to get the will done and get their wishes in order, right? That's important. But if you have questions for Nick, you can always reach out, CincinnatiEstatePlan.com. That is the website, and you'll learn a lot more there. You'll also be able to schedule a time to meet with Nick there as well. But encourage you to get this done. And if you have any questions, go through the podcast, past videos. We answer a lot of those here, but it's always best to go directly to the source, and Nick can always help answer those questions for you. So thanks for watching this episode. Appreciate the questions. Send them in, leave comments. We'll be back again soon with another video, so stay tuned.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by estate planning? The process can seem complex, but it doesn't have to be. The Rosenbauer Law Office is dedicated to helping you protect what matters most: your family, your assets, and your peace of mind. Nick and the team will guide you through every step of the process, making sure you feel confident and informed along the way. Take the first step toward peace of mind today. Schedule an introductory call by clicking the link in the description of today's show.
This show is for informational purposes only and does not provide any legal advice. Information on this show may not constitute the most up-to-date legal information. Please do not act or refrain from acting based solely on anything you hear on this show. This show does not form any attorney-client relationship with the Rosenbauer Law Office, LLC. Please seek the counsel of a qualified attorney before addressing your own estate planning needs.